recall the first time you met him, or the second time? I don't know.
Sure. Are we rolling now?
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I met Giorgi Margvelashvili, he and Daniel Cunin picked me up at the airport on the 3rd of May 1997 when I first moved to Georgia as the director of NDI. And they immediately took me to their favorite Ajaruli Khajapuri place in Ortichala and said, "You've got to try this place, it's great."
Was it nice?
It was excellent Ajaruli Khajapuri, and continues to this day. It was also interesting for me because I could tell that both of them really loved Georgia and very much wanted me, as the new foreigner coming to Georgia for the first time, they wanted to make sure that I loved this country as much as they did, which of course eventually happened. But it was interesting to me that they placed such a priority on that. I had worked in many different places in the world, but I'd never been to a place where the people that were currently running the office there were so in love with the country, and clearly that was a high priority for him.
Daniel Cunin,
Yes, he also worked for NDI at that time. I don't know whether you know him. He's an American who worked for NDI for a while. Both he and Giorgi Margvelashvili were good friends of Zurab Vanya. And then later, Daniel ended up working for Zurab Vanya, and after Zura died, for Misha.
Oh, yeah.
And Giorgi worked for, Daniel left NDI just when I came in '97. Giorgi left NDI 3 years later to become the rector of JIPA.
Do you think he was a good director of JIPA?
Yes, I do, and I think he cared a lot about the institution. I was the chairman of the board of JIPA at that time, and he put a lot of effort into it. I would also say one of the most important things that happened there was that he was able to buy the building that they were in, which was a really difficult thing to do. It was extremely difficult at that time and now for a nonprofit organization to be able to purchase the building that they were in, and so I think that gave JIPA a great deal of freedom, owning that building in such a good location. So I think he did a great job, and JIPA has been a really very important educational institution in Tbilisi for its long history.
How do you think how successful will Margvelashvili be as a politician, as a more than a minister already? Would be president? Well,
it's difficult to say. I don't really think of him as a politician. He's a friend of mine, and there are some things about him. He does not have. There are a lot of politicians and a lot of very talented politicians who are really very personally ambitious, and he's not. He's quite honest. He doesn't really care very much about money, which is unusual, I think, of people who've reached a level that he has. And he's not the kind of person who wants to gather personal power that I have seen. And so I think he's different than a lot of politicians. I'm not saying all politicians have those qualities, but many of them do. So it's difficult for me to think of him as a politician. On the other hand, I think that he'll be as a leader. I think he's open to new ideas, and he changes his mind, which is a great quality. He can be persuaded in different ways, which is great. And so I think I think that the positions that he's been in and is being proposed for, in some ways, will suit his personality.
Many express their fears that he will be president of Ivanishvili. Is he a person that can be influenced on by Ivanishvili? Because he said many times that he was proud to serve under Prime Minister Ivanishvili. How do you think? How independent will he be?
Well, I think if you look at his past, he's been pretty independent. He worked with. For example, at NDI, when he was working for NDI, and I was the director at NDI, we had a lot of disagreements about different issues and how they should be done. I think that he had a very active relationship with Zurezhvania, and Zurezhvania was the kind of person that would gather around him people that would disagree. He was not the kind of person that required that everybody be, a yes man. So my feeling is that he is quite independent. Now I think that his relationship with the Prime Minister is pretty young. Maybe just a year or two old. But so far, the reality of it is that the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister's party are quite popular, and so whoever they propose as the candidate for president is going to have a pretty good chance. But I see Margvelashvili, of the people in the Otsneba team, as being among the more independent.
Margvelashvili will be more independent than other politicians, you mean?
I don't know whether he will be more independent or whether he'll be elected, but I think of the team right now, when I look at the people there, I think that Margvelashvili is among the most independent of those. I think that there are, that he will be a member of that team as long as he feels that it's moving in the right direction. For example, I think that he had reasonable relations with Saakashvili for a period of time, but after a while, he had pretty serious concerns about Saakashvili and what he was doing, and so he moved away. So I think that illustrates an independence that is important for this position.
What are three main words that you think about when I say Margvelashvili? How can you describe him in 3 words, in main terms?
Honest, educated, and open to new ideas.
Do you see him often? Do you often meet?
We have not really seen each other much. I think, I've seen him around here and there, but we have not had a long conversation in a while. We've traded emails a little bit, but I've not seen much of him for the last few years. He's been pretty busy recently.
Do you think he was best choice for Georgia 2013 as a president?
Well, look, the system is changing. The presidential system and the prime ministerial system, I think the prime minister has his vision of how this should be done, whether there should be a primary or not. I don't really know. And I also feel like, especially as the chair of Transparency International, I don't want to promote one candidate or another. But I think among the people that are close to the Prime Minister, I think, he's among the best choices. There are a lot of other people I know that would probably be good presidents, but they're not in politics, or they're not really, involved in this. So people that are in the public eye, I think that he's a pretty good choice.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
I also think it's an advantage in some ways that he does have a close relationship with the Prime Minister right now. Having a public argument between the President and the Prime Minister could be bad. On the other hand, having a President that's a yes man of the Prime Minister is also not particularly useful. So an appropriate distance, I think, is important, and it seems to me that Margvelashvili fits that pretty well.
Thank you.